to my channel. And if you're listening in the podcast, thank you so much for being here. It is the evening of Friday, May 5th, 2023. I always like to start by saying the day. I think relevancy is so important for me. And as you guys know, this podcast and this YouTube channel is basically, well, most of the time is basically about the latest news, right, and real life stories. I think what happened this week, right, this is why I'm making this episode, is because we are seeing a high increase of people who are dealing with mental health, right? And this month, the month of May, from what I know, right, is the mental health awareness month, right? And I don't know what it is, but it's only May 5th today, and we already had terrible news coming out. The first thing was that happened last weekend with the shooting, the neighbor who shot I believe 5 people because he was asked to stop making noise late at night, right? He went crazy and shot his neighbors and killed I think it was 4 people that he killed. So here's the thing though. Today I'm going to speak to you guys about that executive who took his own life. He worked for Google in New York City and he took his own life. And this is the second death that had happened from the same company. They work at the same company, and 2 weeks ago another employee did the same thing, right? And looking at everything that has transpired since the beginning of the year, um, I am noticing something because as much as they want to blame guns and do background checks before you sell the guns, things like that, I I came to the conclusion: is anybody thinking about medication side effects, right? And I think that's something that we need to keep it on top of the table. We need to see that a lot of the times these medications that we take to treat one thing definitely is going to affect something else. Okay, so before I continue and tell you about my opinion when it comes to that, let me just read to you guys the story about the Google executive, which is what this video is all about. A senior software engineer at Google, and I gotta be careful because I don't want my machine to go off after I say the name of the company, right? I think you guys know what I mean, but a senior executive engineer at that company has jumped to his death from the search giant headquarters in Chelsea late Thursday, right? A 31-year-old man whose name is being withheld. They have to notify the family first, like all of the family, plunged from the 14th floor of the 111 8th Avenue around 11:30 p.m., they say. First of all, what is he doing in his office at 11:30 p.m.? Were they working overnight? Did he plan to go there on his own? What type of meeting was happening that he was at the office after hours, basically, right? It says here, police have responded multiple calls saying that the unconscious person was lying on the ground near the building on West 15th Street. Let me just tell you something, because it is quite strange that from the same company we have two young healthy people doing something like this, right? Responding cops found the man unconscious and he was rushed to Bellevue Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Officers at the scene found handprints on the ledge of a 14th floor open air terrace. Sources said investigators found nor a video of the fatal plunge. It's the same thing, like all this jumping that have been happening in the past year and a half in New York City with very well-known influential people who are basically looking at it from outside. You would be like, oh my goodness, they're living the life, living in New York City, having a high-paying job, you know, very well-known people. And I'm referring to, the case of Chelsea Chris, the Miss Universe, that happened. there is no surveillance video of her walking, the building, looking all sad, walking the building. Now they're saying already, this happened 2 days ago, that they have no video of the incident. Not that we want to see a video, but I'm saying, like, when you have people who are just jumping off the building, you want to know who was the last person that they saw, who was there with them in the terrace, right? And I always wonder, when it came to Chelsea Chris, the Miss Universe, I always wonder, wait, they didn't even check. Did she had any visitors that day? Did she order food delivery? Like, who was the last person who spoke with her? Who was at the apartment building? Who did she had a conversation with the neighbor? Did something happen? It's just like, okay, this person jumped, that's it, we notified the family, let's go on with life. Like, there's no investigation. And I find that to be very strange, right? And apparently um this young man did basically the same thing that Chelsea Chris did, um 2 days ago, and they are already saying we have no footage of anything, no video of anybody of the terrorists, nothing, right? And then another employee from the same company that I already told you about, it says here, the employee death comes um, months after Jacob Pratt, a 33-year-old same company employee who also worked in the Manhattan headquarters, was found dead on his own apartment from an apparent suicide attempt. And that happened on February the 16th. Okay, let me tell you something, everyone. This is some real stuff. And if you're listening to this podcast or you're watching this video here on YouTube, if you need prayer for anything, please do not hesitate to reach out. You can email me your personal request, JulissaDesigns.com. You don't have to tell me first and last name of the person or who you are. If you just need a prayer, I'm dealing with something, please pray for me, pray for my family, whatever it is, right? Please reach out. There's a lot of help out there. It is so sad to see what is happening in society, how, this is what you can never, man. This is what I say to you guys. Life is so unpredictable. You never know, right? So you never know what could happen. And a lot of the times we, as society, we're so used to say, this is how we know somebody's doing okay, or what we think means that somebody's doing okay. Oh, I haven't spoken to so and so in so long. Let me look at their social media. Oh, she posted a photo. She's at a cafe and she's saying, hi, good morning, hashtag good morning, drinking coffee at a nice cafe. She's doing good. I'm not even going to bother to send her a text message and say, hey, everything okay? You doing good? Anything, you need prayer for anything? We are basing people's life and livelihood, I guess you can say, based on what they post on social media. And this is the thing, I've been on social media for so long. I can tell you one thing from it, we will never, like in my case, everything is edited. Everything that goes on social media is edited. I'm not gonna post, you know a, a short or a video of me, oh, I've been crying all day, or like I've been struggling with something. Like, nobody posts the negative stuff, right? We're gonna post the positive things, right? Very rarely people are gonna be so transparent, because you know you have this fear of being judged, right? And people will also say to you, we don't need to know that you're not having a good day, or people, because people are crazy online, right? They'll comment, especially people that don't have user ID, right? That's what they use, right, to disguise who they are. They'll be like, why are you posting that? Like, that's private information. Or they'll say, go to a therapist, or whatever, right? People can be cruel. They just want to see the happy things also. So you try to avoid that. So everything is happy dandy, everything is perfect. Yes, I'm doing great, everything's perfect, right? And I'm sorry that I'm laughing, but this is how society has become right now, right? I know a lot of people that out of nowhere, I'm like, wow, they seem to already know everything that's going on with me, but I haven't really spoken with them. And not that I don't want to sound like I share a lot, but it's like, oh wow, how do they know that? Like, sometimes I wonder. It just tells you people are not looking to connect anymore. It's kind of rare to find people who are willing to have a personal time with you, to connect with you, to really know who you are. They want to know you based on what you post on social media. And like I said, a lot of the times that's not really who you truly are, because those are just the happy moments. And we as human beings, we go through ups and downs, right? Life is hard, things are challenging, and not every day is sunshine and happiness. As much as we want to say, as much as we want to keep up the faith, in my case being a Christian, as much as that, and I know God has my back, I know He's gonna come through, but that doesn't mean that I don't lose my faith for briefly moments, right? Do I feel bad about it? Yes, because I know God always comes through, right? But I have my moments too. I have my moments. I think this year, I mean, it's only May, but the hardest part of this year so far for me, even though I feel like I'm so grateful every day for everything that has been happening, is closing down my studio was the hardest, because I felt so alone in that moment, because I feel like, this is so crazy, I'm talking about this, that I was giving up onto people's comments about it. But anyways, before I make this episode as more sad than what it should, you know, it's not really about what I'm dealing with, but what is happening in the world, right? So it is hard to see young people, taking their own life, right? Because when you get to that moment where you feel like so hopeless, right? Something else we know that has transpired for people to get to that moment. And it is so sad. And one thing I gotta say, when you're having conversations with other people, watch yourself, right? Ask yourself, wait a second. I explained to somebody my entire week. I never had the moment to say, hey, how's your week going? How's your job? Do you need prayer for anything? Like, relationships should be reciprocal, right? But there's a lot of people out there who are just like, they loaded up everything that's going on with them, and they don't even give you a chance. And people say, well, I didn't. They didn't seem like they bothered that I talk about myself all day. Well, like, it should bother you that you had a 15-minute conversation with somebody, and all you did was just talk about your stuff. And you didn't even have the human decency to say, hey, so, anyways, how's everything with you? Right? Do you need me to pray for anything? How's your job? How's your neighborhood? Like, anything. But it's hard. Like I tell you guys, it's hard. And the other thing that I always say here on my channel is that we always, as the public, right, looking at it from outside, we think that having fame and fortune is it, right? Not everybody, like, not the Christian mindset, but you guys know what I mean. Like, looking at somebody like a famous actor, right? We're always like, man, these people, they have money, they have a chauffeur, they don't have to wake up and do this 9 to 5 thing that we do. They can, they can go to a Louis Vuitton store and buy whatever they want, no issues, no concerns for anything. And they go on TV shows, they have a makeup artist, hair and makeup, everything is at their feet basically. And we, you know we're like, man, if I could only have that life. Rest assured, you guys, that a lot of these people are probably the most depressed people, but they are, you know they're selling you an image of everything is perfect, right? And you just really don't know. Because when we see things like this, who would have thought a top executive person, right, living in New York City, working for one of the biggest tech giant, like, I don't think I met anybody who doesn't use Google, right? And I mentioned Google. I don't want to keep saying the name because I know my machine here is gonna go off, but I mentioned that company a lot because the Brian Walsh case, how they saw all the searches that he was doing. Brian Walsh is the husband of the missing person from Massachusetts. Her name is Anna Walsh, right? And one thing that detectives found that happened also beginning of this year was that all the searches that he did, the day she disappeared using the name of that big company, kind of basically told us what he has done to her, right? I think everybody today uses that to do any type of searching. We're all detective in our own ways, you know. In my case, before I even go to like a restaurant, I gotta go online and see reviews. If I'm gonna order like a new equipment, a new microphone, like I just did with this one, I'm all gonna go online, look at reviews, look at things. But what website do we go to before we reach like our place, our destination? We normally start with a search, right? So imagine these young people, 31 years old, 33 years old. You would think, looking at it from the outside, man, these people are living the life. They're probably, getting a bunch of bonus, because all this, who doesn't use that company? And this day, how often is that company being used by everybody on a daily basis, right? On a daily second. And every second, there's somebody searching something on the internet using that company. That's like 100% guaranteed, right? So you will think, looking at it from the outside, man, these people are like, they have no worry in life. And then you'll see them taking their own life, and you're like, what happened? And that's what it is. We think that fame and fortune is gonna find joy. That's how you're gonna find joy. That's how you're gonna find peace. And that is the complete opposite. Because the Bible says you have to seek the kingdom of God first, right? And everything else will be added unto you. Um, Everything else will be added unto you. The other day, it's so crazy because the other day I was thinking, when I first got my place, my first place, I was like, man, I I don't know how often I went grocery shopping, believe it or not, because when I did my budgeting, paying the rent on my own, paying all the other bills, I'm like, okay, yeah. So I have no, really don't have any budget for money. I mean, for grocery. So I will spend like $20. When groceries were very cheap then, and now that was not that long ago, right? I will be like, okay, I only have $20. So for this week, right, for groceries, and I will be so happy, man. It was so crazy. I will go with $20, and I'm like, this is good. So I was able to buy, this is, I will do a sandwich every day for lunch, to take for work, and then I'll have this day and this the other, and I will be so happy. I'm like, oh great, 25 bucks, $20 I think it was for the whole week. And I will be so happy. And it was just like cutting it so short. I remember one time I'm like, I really want to get this. So I used one of my credit cards, which was so almost out of limit already. And I was so nervous about it. But, everything was fine. And you worry for nothing, right? And everything was fine. So I remember coming here and I was so happy. And then now that, thanks be to God that I'm able to like go grocery shopping and actually get a cart, right? Not just a basket, get a cart and go grocery shopping. And then I get annoyed because there's so many people in the store, or like a huge line of people waiting. I'm like, wow, this is so crazy how sometimes, when you have less, you're so grateful in the moment. So don't ever forget to be grateful, right? And what I was saying with that point was that a lot of the times we see people living with so little, right? Like in my country, like I'm from the Dominican Republic. I will go, to like towns, and like you see the poverty, right? you see the poverty, and these people, the houses are almost falling apart, and you will go visit them because they knew like your grandmother, whatever, right? They knew the family, and you just come in to visit them. We were still probably living here in New York for like 2 years then, and we're like, okay. I was always with my mom, so I'm like, she wants to go say hi to these old neighbors, so I'm like, okay, I'll just go with her. And once you get closer to the village, you'll see the poverty that these people live in. But they were so happy to see you coming. And it was just the joy of them. And you're like, wow, these people, they barely have anything material, material based, but there's such a joy that comes from them, such a peace. And they will make, I remember this lady will make this juice, right? It was like the little Kool-Aid when they used to do like the little package thing, and she would take that and put it on a pitcher of water, and she would give all of us a glass with some Kool-Aid drink, and it was like so cute, and it was just such a delight for her, for us to come and visit her. Amen. These people had so little, but they were so happy. And a lot of the times we think that by having it all, when it comes to, they always say, you gotta get a career, you have to get the ranking, right? Achieve for the best, what is that called? They jump the ladder, the executive ladder. You have to jump, go for that promotion, keeps climbing, 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 and then you get all of that, because one thing I gotta say to you guys, everything in life is achievable, okay? There's nothing impossible, right? Especially when when you walk by faith, you get to see how nothing is impossible. Um, when you have faith in God, right? And then you achieve all these things. But if you don't have God, you will feel empty inside. You will feel empty, and there's gonna be an emptiness, and you're looking around, and you're like, man, work is good, you know I got a great review, I'm being paid well, everything's good. I post something on social media, it's flying, everybody likes it, everybody likes it. I can't pronounce that. Everybody likes what I do on social media, everything is good, family is good, but I feel empty. There's still something that is missing. And that, if you don't have Jesus Christ, you're gonna always go into that cycle of emptiness and loneliness and depression, because we as being created by God, we always be longing for that connection. And if do you know that there is a God that loves you so much, and all he wants to do is connect with you, have a relationship with him, and thanks be to Jesus Christ, you will never achieve that peace that surpasses all understanding. You will never achieve that. And from the outside, people will be like, how can he be upset? How can he be depressed? This man has it all. We think it's all because it's material things, but there's an emptiness inside, okay? So, when I first started this video, I also mentioned how nobody's blaming the medications that a lot of people take. Everybody these days, I'm not trying to bash nothing like that. A lot of people, I know there's a lot of people right now who are seeking mental health, right? Such a taboo topic in the church, forget it, man. It's like speaking about masturbation. Like, nobody wants to speak about it. Such a big problem with mental health right now. People want to, back then, right, years before, when you will look at somebody depressed, you're like, you believe in God and you're depressed? We need to stop that, okay? We need to stop that, and we need to look at reality for what it is. Okay, just because you're having like a sad day, that doesn't mean that you don't have faith in God. That doesn't mean that you are saved through the blood of Jesus Christ. So we need to stop that. I remember a long time ago, I'm not trying to say anything about her either. I remember Joyce Meyer said one thing out, one of her teachings. She said, a sad Christian is an oxymoron, or something like that. And that always stuck with me because I'm like, man, she's so right. But then I'm like, how can you look at somebody who's dealing with depression and say you're basically an oxymoron because you shouldn't be sad? Like, look at the situation for what it is in the moment. Okay, look at the situation for what it is in the moment. Well, a lot of the times we want to we do this a lot. We always pointing the finger. We pointing the finger, and you should know better, and you should know better. And I remember that verse in the Bible when you know they saying to Jesus, the law of Moses said that we should be stoning her. What did you say, God? What did you say about this woman who was found in adultery? She was found in the very act, and people, they came to Jesus and say, what did you say? The law of Moses said that we should be stoning her, throwing stones at her. And Jesus is like, I'm not even going to answer to you guys. He didn't even answer verbally. He went down on the sand and wrote, whoever whoever is free of sin cast the first stone. And I was like, that is amazing, man. Because that's a slap in the face. Like, we're so always so quick to point the finger. How can you tell somebody who's dealing with depression, be like, cheer up, okay? You're a Christian, like, stop it. Like, that's such a slap in the face for somebody who already feeling sad, right? So before I finish, let me tell you about the medication, right? So people who are doing therapy, a lot of them, not everybody, okay? A lot of people who have to take an extra additional thing to deal with depression, things like that, they do a lot of medication like oxycodone, Xanax, which is probably the same thing, and then they also do Ativan, right? But rest assured, guys, these three medications that I just mentioned, they all have side effects that create something else. So you have to be so careful. Don't jump so quick to take medication to cure something. Always remember that a lot of the medications out there are just a little bandage for that moment. That a lot of the times, if you don't take that bandage off quick enough, it's gonna create something else. It can get infected. That's my analogy. So, for example, Ativan has a lot of crazy side effects. Okay, it takes let me just read to you what I found on that search company information. It says here, if you take Ativan, can cause rebound anxiety. So you're taking something for anxiety who's gonna make you probably worse. It's sleep disturbances, right? So you are having anxiety, you're gonna take Ativan, supposed to keep you more calm, and it's gonna keep you away from sleeping. So it's gonna cause also normal body movement and agitation, okay? And then you're gonna go to your doctor and be like, wait, you gave me this Advent to deal with all these other symptoms that I was having, and now I'm agitated. I can't drive without having road rage incidents. I can't sleep. And they're like, okay, we're gonna give you something else to treat that. And before you know it, there you are taking three medications to three side effects or something that you started taking, right? Same thing with sinus. It causes drowsiness, lightheadedness, headache. Like, you don't want any of this stuff when you're having to deal with work and like dealing with the family and raising kids and all of that. Difficult concentrating. Then your work life is gonna have an imbalance. So always remember, guys, that all these medications that they prescribe is about, a little bandage. So how do you not use them? I'm not saying to don't use it or stop using, nothing like that, right? I'm saying you have to pray to God, right? God is your Savior, your Creator who loves you so much. So pray to God and say, this is the situation that I'm dealing with right now, Lord. Please help me deal with this, guys. There's not a problem on this universe, on this life, that's gonna take God by surprise. There's nothing that God cannot fix. There's nothing that God cannot, you know, that's happening to you that God cannot fix or figure out. Nothing takes God by surprise. Okay, I'm running out of time. I thank you everybody so much for coming to my channel and listening in the podcast. Have a good night. God bless. Hi everybody, this is Julissa. I'm here to invite you to my podcast, JulissaDesigns, and it can be found on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can join me every day as I make episodes of the latest news, real life stories, and I also share my favorite Bible verse. Hope to see you then. God bless. Everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you want to know more about me, you can always visit www.JulissaDesigns.com. Have a great day, everybody. God bless.